Hey kindergartners, it's Miss Beery here, and I'm looking at my crabapple tree outside my house. And this week we are going to be looking at lots of different flowers I have around my house, and we are going to draw them. Okay, here we have some very pretty purple flowers on the front of my house, and then you can see there are some more flowers coming up. In my backyard, I have this little area with some trees, and I have some other little flowers that are planted back here by this bench, and I will zoom in so you can see all of these pretty flowers as well. Here you can see the pretty yellows and oranges in the flowers. Okay, look at these really pretty tulips, how there's reds and pinks. There's a purple one, yellows. Hello kindergartners, it's Miss Beery here. I took some videos outside of flowers around my house, and I'm going to show you how to draw some of them. I have a list here of things that you may use. On the top I put, I can draw flowers. I have materials, paper, pencil, pictures to use to draw the flowers, and some coloring tools. You can use markers, you can use crayons. I have these cool twisty color pencils here. So let's jump on into it. I'm going to open up to a fresh page on my sketchbook, but you can use any kind of paper you want. And I always like to start with a pencil. And it's nice to draw with the pencil first, so then you can add those details in later. The first picture I'm going to draw is my crabapple tree. So I'm going to have my base of the tree, and then it's never straight for the trunk. It's always kind of curvy. So I'm going to draw some lines for branches first. And then for this one, I'm going to use my crayon. So I'm going to take my brown crayon and go over some of those branches. And remember, a tree is never the same. It's not perfect. So as long as you do your best, that's all that matters. And then for this kind of tree, we have those pretty flowers on it. So it doesn't need to be a really detailed flower. We can just have some squiggle marks, which is perfect for this kind of tree because it is those flower blossoms. So I'm just going to do lots of kind of curvy lines here. So they kind of look like cotton candy almost. And if you want to, you can take a magenta or a red violet crayon and kind of go over those, some of them. So it looks like you have some more details. You can have some centers in there. And then don't forget, it is a tree, so of course we need leaves on our tree. And for the leaves, I'm just going to do this oval with kind of a pointy end. You can do a line down the center to add some details. So I'm just going to put some leaves in. And remember, a tree doesn't have to be completely full. It is still spring, so it will grow more on there. Now once you have the tree done, you can add some grass. You can make a background. Maybe you want to draw a picnic scene. And the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to take that branch that I saw on the tree, and I'm just going to add some more details, and so it's a little bit closer up. So it is a crabapple tree. So I have my red berries on there, and then it is a 5-petal flower. So you can count them to make sure there's 5. And then of course we need to have our leaves on there. So I'm going to take my pink crayon again to make those flowers. And this is just a close-up of one of the branches on the crabapple tree. And since this is a little bit closer in, I'm going to outline my flowers with this red violet and put the center in there as well. And I'm going to take my brown, so we have that nice branch in there. Gonna take my green for the leaves. And remember, there's no wrong way to do this. And the more you do it, the better you will get. And then I'm going to have the red in there for those crab apples that are growing. And remember, crab apples you can eat. The next flower I showed you in the video was a very pretty purple flower. So actually, I'm going to use my marker for this one. And I'm going to use two colors. Sometimes it's fun to use different colors to show details or to blend them together. So for this flower, it kind of looks almost like a raindrop. And I'm actually going to color this whole thing in. And then if you remember looking at that flower, it's kind of like it has circles in there, almost like a grapes. And I'm going to take my darker purple and then make all the circles for this really, really pretty purple flower. I'm going to do the edges also in that purple, darker purple. I am going to grab now a green for my stem. And then if you remember in the video, the leaves of the plant aren't real straight. They kind of go out far. And then you can even take it off the page, and that's perfectly fine too. I'm going to take a lighter green and go over it again. Okay, the next one I'm going to do is the pretty white and yellow flower. So I will have, it is another 5-petal one, so here's my circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the center it was almost like it was a whole nother flower. So we're going to have 5 more petals. And on the outside of it, I'm going to take, let's try this yellow. It was a lighter yellow because it was almost like white. And then the center of it was darker gold. It's more colored in. So now that I have a dark color there, I'm going to go in with my lighter color, blend those together. And then in the center was more yellow. So I'm going to color the whole thing in. And I think it was a little bit darker, so I'm going to try grabbing another yellow. Which that one kind of looks a little bit orange, but that's okay. It looks really good. And then if you look closely in the center, we have the little parts here, and that's where the bees come to get the nectar. And this plant, it's fun because the leaves go really kind of far up. It's not just right on the flower, they kind of all spread out. So I'm going to go in with my darker one too. And actually, if you want to, you can do some brown dirt down here. You know, we need to have that soil for the roots to go in, for the plants to grow. And if you want to, you can even use that green crayon to color in the leaves, and you can mix both markers and crayons. I was going to say you can use the yellow crayon to color in a little bit for the flower petals as well. So I'm going to take that yellow next, color that in a bit. Okay, last one. Now, just because Miss Beery does some fancy ones doesn't mean that you can't keep it simple for your drawing. So you can have just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and keep it simple. You can do kind of like the first one where there's squiggly lines around, and this is also a very pretty flower. If you want to, you could do like a tulip with a circle on the top or a curved line. Drop it down a bit on the edges, and then we have a nice tulip. So I want you to play around and see what you can make with your flowers, and I would love to see a picture with you and your flower picture, and make sure you send it to your kindergarten teacher. So if you have Mrs. Morgan, send it to Mrs. Morgan. If you have Mrs. Reinholz, send it to Miss Reinholz. And if you have Miss Beery, then make sure you send it to me. I hope you all have a lot of fun. I can't wait to see those pictures. Bye everybody!